if your job is to try to be the best basketball player you can be, right? To do that, you have to practice, you have to train, right? You want to train as much as you can, as often as you can. If I start earlier, I can train more hours. And I know the other guys aren't doing it because I know what their training schedule is. If I do this consistently over time, the gap's just going to widen and widen and widen and widen and widen, and they won't be able to get that back. So to me, it was just common sense and like thinking, how can I get an advantage? Oh, start earlier. My first class in high school was at 7:45. I used to get to the gym around 5 a.m. and I'd play before school, just me and my coach. And sometimes it would just be me and the janitor. But I played during lunch and then practice after, and then go home, do my schoolwork, and then watch a bunch of game film and games on TV and study. The mentality is a really simple one. The confidence comes from preparation. So when the game's on the line, I'm not asking myself to do something that I haven't done thousands of times before.
What is up, everybody? This is Cameron, your host, and welcome back to the Marcellus Music Productions podcast, the podcast where we talk and discuss about things that help make us into the best music product. Before we jump into anything, I do want to say I am recovering from an illness, so if I sound a little froggy or groggy or whatever the saying is, please forgive me. I still definitely wanted to make sure that I got another episode out onto the platform, so we're going to get stuff done, okay? But I do want to say thank you to everyone who has supported the podcast in any way, shape, or form, whether you're listening to it on YouTube, any social media platform, Apple Podcast, the Spotify platform, and everywhere else that this may be reaching you. I thank you for any support, any shares, likes, comments, if you're subscribing, if you're following, anything that you've done to help this get somewhere else or get this episode to reach someone. I appreciate you for helping. But I'm not going to ramble too much. I'm just going to hop straight into the episode. Obviously, you see the title, and no, it's not clickbait. I'm just going to hop into the topic because I thought about it the other day, and this is definitely a big one. Practice, man. Practice. Practice, 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 practice. A lot of us has probably heard the saying, practice makes perfect. A lot of us has probably heard all of the different types of quotes talking about all the practice that you can do to help you get better. But to be honest, if I could take what I know now and give it to my younger self, I would. I really would. Because I don't really think a lot of us understand how vital practice really is until it's somewhat too late. Or not really too late, but until we've already had an ample amount of time to already pass by us to actually understand the whole concept of practice. Firstly, I do want to say I wanted to have a whole bunch of polls, any graphs, any charts, any information that I could have pulled up to help me talk about this topic, like any surveys that have been taken with musicians or anything like that that have been done. And I surprisingly couldn't find any. I could not find any real research about musicians practicing. So, for the most part, I can really use my experience to explain what I think about this. So, I met two musicians over the past couple of years by the name of Joe Pryor and Matt Simmons. And they're definitely two dope guys. Joseph Pryor was on the podcast with James Jones, I believe, and I believe it was "This Is the Moment," and he was discussing some of the things that he did early on during his musical journey, and he spoke about how him and another friend of his would practice countless hours practicing and shedding from, I can't give a perfect estimate of time, but I know he said from the late evening all the way up to the early AMs while they had school the next day. I'm going to just let that simmer for a second because that alone speaks volume. Now, I remember when I first heard that, and I was actually confused and stopped it because I only thought about all the time that I could have used to do stuff like that, or just the time that everybody else has had, or opportunities that people have had like that they didn't take the time to practice or just enjoy their gift or to just work themselves in that capacity like he did. And we look at him now, and everybody's considering him one of the greats. But people really don't pay attention to a lot of the times of what they did in order to get to that certain point, you know? And I remember with Matt Simmons, he put a post on Facebook and was asking a particular question to the musicians regarding practicing during the week. And he asked, I believe, if I quoted right, he asked, how many songs do you not practice, but do you retain during the week? And he was speaking about there's a difference between you practicing and learning songs and you actually retaining the material that you learn. And I believe he said between 20 and 30 regarding like his personal quota for retaining music. And at the time when I saw that post, I sat there kind of confused because I said, man, I barely do 10, let alone 20, like retaining just songs throughout the week. And he didn't even say it was songs that they had to sing. He was just saying songs that he's gone over. And when you think about that, you're thinking about how much time you have to spend listening to the songs, how much time you have to spend learning the parts of the songs, how much time you have to spend actually playing the song. And after you learn it, how much time you have to spend playing the song over and over again to make sure you're playing it right. How much time you're actually learning, or no, how much time you're actually spending learning what you're doing and then remembering what you're doing and then just doing it because it's literally ingrained in your brain now.
Hey, have you ever wanted to wear some stylish clothes while expressing your faith? Are you someone who thinks about your whole purpose being here? Or maybe you just want to encourage people to keep going. Well, if you said yes to any of those, then we have the solution. Call to Purpose is a small Christian clothing brand that values and prioritizes the idea that God has a purpose for each and every one of us. So we allow you to look good, dress nice, while expressing your faith and pursuing God's purpose for your life. So you don't have to struggle to look around to find good Christian apparel anymore. We have what you need. So go follow the Instagram account Call to Purpose to see not only the website of our apparel, but to be gifted with constant motivational posts to keep you going through your day. That's CALLTOPURPOSE with an underscore at the end.
Man, when I tell you that post had me so conflicted on what I've been doing the past couple years, because I thought that is next level dedication. Now, some people may say, oh, well, it's not that major or it's not that extra. I'm like, no, no, it kind of is, because if you think about it, not many musicians practice like that. Not many musicians are retaining music like that at will. And of course, we could easily say that certain musicians have certain gifts and they have certain abilities, and some people have perfect pitch, some people easily can go over songs, and some musicians just grew up doing music so they're used to it, and some musicians have more exposure than others, and some musicians have this and that, or one upped on somebody else because they have access to this and they've been doing this for this long, and all these excuses. And I mean, it may be true, and I know plenty of people that God has gifted them to be able to play their instrument at a certain level. Like, they really didn't grow up musically inclined. There's some people that didn't grow up around the musician's pit. There's not many people that grew up just studying music, and God gave them the ability to touch their instrument, and they started getting good at it. And then after that, it's all up to them to whether they're going to practice or not. But for the ability to take that time out to focus, lock in, and not only learn the songs, but retain it to the point to where it's just automatically in your brain, that's next level. That's next level, where you, whether you pay attention to it or not. Because when you can easily do that, it's instantly saying that you're taking like your precious time to sit down and break that song down, break the music down, break whatever you're learning down to the point to where you can learn what you're doing, how you're doing it, to basically become a master of it. I remember I was telling somebody, I was kind of giving them some drum lessons a couple months ago, and as we were talking, they were talking about doing some chops and doing some fills. And for those that know me, I'm not much of a chopper, but I told them, I said, if you want to actually become way better on the drums than you actually are, it doesn't matter how long you've been playing. It doesn't matter how long you've been introduced to the drums. I said, if you actually take time out to focus on what you actually need to focus on, everything else will slowly fall into play. Because a lot of times they'll highlight the chops and they'll highlight the fills, but can't hold a tempo. You can't keep the pocket. You can't hold a groove of a song. You're too busy trying to chop, and you don't know certain techniques of certain paradiddles. You don't know certain techniques on how to move smoothly around the set. You're trying to do all these fills and these extra things that we see everybody else doing during all these sheds and all these clinics, but you don't know the basis of what the song is asking for. You don't know the base foundation of what the music is asking for. You don't know the pure foundation of what you actually need to know. But you're more so just trying to focus on what you want to do, you know? And I partially think that a lot of times we call practice practice, but it's not really practice. Some of us would just sit down and say, oh yeah, I practiced because I went over a song that I've been playing for like 10 years, and I went over that song. That means I practiced. No, that's not practice at all. Or it's like, oh yeah, I played one of my favorite songs that I literally am always playing, or I went over one of my favorite tunes, or I went over one of my favorite licks to try to get that together. Yeah, I practiced. Nah, I'm not gonna say that's practice. I remember I told somebody, I said, practice is supposed to push you to not only clean stuff up that you know you're bad at, but practice is also there to help you focus and tone up things that you know you need to fix. Um, I can't remember who told me, but they were telling me you don't really practice until you're getting frustrated in practice. He was expressing how a lot of times we can easily get used to playing all of the stuff that we already know during practice sessions and then call it practice. But he said practice is supposed to be used to go over those things that you can't do. Practice is for those moments to go practice or play in notes that you don't play in during service. Practice is to play those songs that you know if they ask you to play in service, you're going to get scared because you don't know how to play it. Practice is to do those grooves and those beats that you know full well you can't do. Practice is playing those songs and those melodies that you know you have a hard time playing with, that you need to clean the technique on, or you just trying to get better, knowing the foundation of stuff, you knowing how to maneuver around certain things. Like a lot of us have turned practice into some sort of, I can't think of the word, but it's like a luxury. We've kind of treated it as like something that we don't need to do. We've kind of treated it as something that's like extra. We've turned practice into something to where it's something to where you really don't think of it as a necessity, but you're like, it's there if I want to do something else. Like it's there if I want to upgrade some more, but I don't really necessarily need it in order to get better. And that's false, man. That's definitely false. That's definitely false. Um, I really think practice is a vital thing, and I'm realizing that now because I've had a couple encounters with a couple of good musicians, and some homeboys that I know that I'm real cool with that are professional musicians. And when I look at all the work that they put in and all the time that they spent practicing and all the time that they've dedicated toward their craft and all the time that they just sat back and said, I'm going to sit back, I'm going to relax, and I'm going to lock into practice this. I'm going to spend this amount of hours on this to make sure I'm good on this. I'm going to make sure that everything that I'm doing in this avenue, whether it's I'm playing in church, I'm playing gospel, I'm playing for this event, whatever I'm doing, however I'm playing, whatever instrument I'm on, I'm making sure that I'm taking time out to focus my mind on what I'm supposed to be doing, not just going over stuff that I want to go over and stuff that I want to enjoy, but the stuff that I don't want to do. That's what I have to go over. And that's that's a good statement right there. Because I just thought about something my uncle told me. He said, discipline isn't doing what you want to do. Discipline is doing stuff that you don't want to do, that you know you have to do. A lot of times as musicians, and not just musicians, it could go really towards anyone. Like this can just be a general statement. It's easy for us to do the things that we want to do. But when there's some stuff that we don't want to do, but we know it's necessary to do, that's where it comes into play. Because I'm pretty sure all of the musicians out there that are becoming musicians off of just watching everybody else, all the people that want to become keyboardists have been watching Glenn Gibson, watching Joe, watching a whole bunch of people that have been going viral, and we say, okay, I need to learn how to maneuver down the keyboard in like 3 seconds. I need to figure out how to move up and down the organ in 5 seconds, going to 8 different keys. I've been watching John P. Key's live arrangements with all these songs. I need to figure out all these chops that this drummer did. I need to figure out all these riffs that this guitarist did. I need to learn all these licks that this bass player did on this certain song. And we'll forget about the main point of how do I maneuver the regular scale of this note, or how do I play according to a certain tempo, or how do I play the right melody on this certain song, or how do I do this the right way, or how do I do the bass or the foundation stuff of what I'm trying to do, really. Like it's always easy to try to aim towards the star factor stuff, like the things that'll get people looking at you, and the things that'll have people kind of, oh yeah, you solid, but then you not know how to do everything else. Like I remember, it was an old video of Fred Hammond, and I think it was a guy that was trying to chop. I don't know the full context of the video because I'm pretty sure it was just a small snippet, and then there's possibly other stuff that happened. But in the video that was shown, Fred Hammond was asking for a specific groove, and the guy started doing the groove, but he started doing extra accents on the hi-hat and started doing extra stuff. And Fred, all he did, told him to cut all the extra stuff, gave him a simple tap on the hi-hat, and told him to lock it in. And I think the caption was, "This is the stuff that locks you into gigs." Like, they focus more on the pocket. The pocket gets you paid. Yeah, that was one of the comments. The pocket gets you paid. And when you think about that stuff, many people will know all the extra stuff, but they won't know the bare minimum. They won't know the base foundational stuff that's really preferred when you're getting introduced to certain things. Like, I wouldn't want a musician that knows how to praise break all day long, but doesn't know what keys we're doing the songs in, or he doesn't know how to do certain movements, or you could do a praise break on the drums, and you could do all the chops and the sheds and everything, but you can't give me a simple congregational beat without being extra. Or you can't give me a simple worship beat without doing everything extra. Or I can't have a bass player that's just doing the basic bass line compared to you trying to do all these extra tritones and all of that stuff because you think it sounds nice. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're doing now. You feel me? So I might do a part 2 on this. I might have somebody else on here too, possibly. Let me know your thoughts, because I might do it, because this is a very interesting topic on practice. But that's my thoughts, man. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope I didn't talk your head off, but I hope you understand what I'm talking about. Let me know what you think about practice. Let me know if you are practicing, if you're not practicing, if you need to start practicing, because revelation will help you. Come on now. It'll really help you self-evaluate what you're actually doing. But yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys definitely think about some of the stuff that I said. And until next time, guys, I'll have another episode for you, possibly later in the month, depending on when this comes out. Definitely leave a like, share, subscribe. And as always, guys, talk to you guys later.